In the ballroom, a hideous grinding noise as the gears of the clock failed, followed by a hollow booming as the mechanism stopped entirely. Only one thing was left behind: a woman's shoe. A shoe no one could have ever danced in. It was made of glass. Did you intend to protest about the shoe? Shall I finish the story, or would you rather I did not? It is not the ending you are familiar with. Yes, I perceive you understand that now. I will go quickly then, for your carriage must be here soon. And there is not a great deal more to relate. The prince lost his mind, partly from what he had seen, partly from the spells the young witch had netted him in. He could think of nothing but the girl who had named herself Ashella. He raved that death had borne her away, but he would recover her from death. She had left the glass shoe as a token of her love. He must discover her with the aid of the shoe. Whomsoever the shoe fitted would be Ashella. For there was this added complication that death might hide her actual appearance. None had seen the girl before. She had disappeared like smoke. The one infallible test was the shoe. That was why she had left it for him. His ministers would have reasoned with the prince, but he was past reason. His intellect had collapsed totally, as only a profound intellect can. A lunatic, he rode about the city. He struck out at those who argued with him. On a particular occasion, drawing a dagger, he killed, not apparently noticing what he did. His demand was explicit. Every woman, young or old, maid or married, must come forth from her home, must put her foot in the shoe of glass. And they came. They had no choice. Some approached in terror, some weeping. Even the aged beggar women obliged, and they cackled, enjoying the sight of royalty gone mad. One alone did not come. Now, it is not illogical that out of the hundreds of women whose feet were put into the shoe, a single woman might have been found that the shoe fitted. But this did not happen. Nor did the situation alter, despite a lurid fable that some, tickled by the idea of wedding the prince, cut off their toes that the shoe might fit them. And if they did, it was to no avail, for still the shoe did not. Is it really surprising? The shoe was sorcerous. It constantly changed itself, its shape, its size, in order that no foot, save one, could ever be gotten into it. Summer spread across the land. The city took on its golden summer glaze, its fetid summer spell. What had been a whisper of intrigue swelled into a steady, distant thunder. Plots were hatched. One day the silk merchant was brought, trembling and gray of face, to the prince. The merchant's dumbness had broken. He had unburdened himself of his fear at confession, but the priest had not proved honest. In the dawn, men had knocked on the door of the merchant's house. Now he stumbled to the chair of the prince. Both looked twice their years, but if anything, the prince looked the elder. He did not lift his eyes. Over and over in his hands, he turned the glass shoe. The merchant, stumbling too in his speech, told the tale of his first wife and his daughter. He told everything, leaving out no detail. He did not even omit the end, that since the night of the banquet the girl had been absent from his house, taking nothing with her save a young hazel from the garden beneath the tower. The prince leapt from his chair. His clothes were filthy and unkempt. His face was smeared with sweat and dust. It resembled, momentarily, another face. Without guard or attendant, the prince ran through the city toward the merchant's house, and on the road, the intriguers waylaid and slew him. As he fell, the glass shoe dropped from his hands and shattered in 1,000 fragments. There is little else worth mentioning. Those who usurped the city were villains, and not merely that, but fools. Within a year, external enemies were at the gates. A year more and the city had been sacked, half burned out, ruined. The manner in which you find it now is somewhat better than it was then, and it is not now anything for a man to be proud of. As you were quick to note, many here earn a miserable existence by conducting visitors about the streets, the palace, showing them the dregs of the city's past. Which was not a request, in fact, for you to give me money. Throw some from your carriage window if your conscience bothers you. My own wants are few. Now, I have no further news of the girl Ashella, the witch, a devotee of Satanus. She has doubtless worked plentiful woe in the world. And a witch is long-lived. Even so, she will die eventually. None escapes death. Then you may pity her if you like. Those who serve the gentlemen below, who can guess what their final lot will be? But I'm very sorry the story did not please you. It is not maybe a happy choice before a journey? And there is your carriage at last. What? No. I shall stay here in the ballroom, where your came on me. I have often paused here through the years. It is the clock. It has a certain, what shall I call it, power to draw me back. I'm not trying to unnerve you. Why would you suppose that? Because of my knowledge of the city and of the story? I think you are implying that I myself am death? Now you laugh. Yes, it is absurd. Observe the 12th figure on the clock. Is he not, as you always heard death described? And am I in the least like that 12th figure? Although, of course, the story was not as you have heard it either.